It's another week and another awesome chapter of Eden Zero. This one went by pretty quickly, but we're getting a lot more answers and explanations for everything that we've had for the series up until this point, and we're finally understanding what the connections are with specific characters and events. And this was a really big one, and I legitimately think we're about to finish this flashback in the next chapter based on how things are going. And while this was relatively short, I enjoyed every second of this flashback, and I cannot wait to get back to the main plot. Before all that, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make on this channel and shows you want to see more. I'm loving this Eden Zero content, and I legitimately think that the next chapter or two will be very big, and this one was also pretty big. So let's just jump right into it. Chapter 275 of Eden Zero, titled "The Four Shining Stars Are Born." And this image is a very nice image of Ivory. I got no notes, that's just it. Enjoy. Moving on to the chapter. It's directly after last week where Ziggy sees the birth of Mother with a nice 2-page spread as we see Earth go into overdrive and become Mother. As Ziggy is wondering how this planet turned into a person. Mother begins to open her eyes as Ziggy says, "This is impossible. Is this what I've been searching for? Is this Mother?" As Mother then begins to speak to Ziggy. She says that the Earth went into overdrive and thus I was born. I am Mother, the mother of the cosmoses. But Ziggy says no, that doesn't make any sense. I was told that Mother had existed for eons. How can you have only just been born? As Mother begins to say, it's likely because of an encounter with a chronophage. And this ends up explaining what Ziggy stated right after his awakening when he was being manipulated by the Edens 1 and potentially Void, and that Mother and the chronophages are all connected. Mother goes on to explain that a chronophage came and ate 20,000 years of her time and returns her to the era when she was Earth. So even Mother is affected by the chronophage. We still don't know much about these chronophages, but the fact that even Mother is affected by them is something else entirely. The fact that she is basically a godlike entity in this universe. So that is just crazy to think about. It also does make sense since she is technically a living planet. So yeah, Mother had 20,000 years of her life removed from her, and thus she went back to being Earth, only to be reawakened and overdrived again thanks to the efforts of the four shining stars in their past lives. She goes on to say that Ziggy landed on the planet Earth and witnessed the moment that she changed into Mother and took the baby Shiki away. As Ziggy's like, I didn't mean to steal it at all, but Mother says that it was alright. Originally the child was fated to die when the Earth went into overdrive, but I came into contact with a chronophage. You landed on Earth as it was 20,000 years ago, and his fate was changed to the one where he lives. Now we all know Ziggy is a future version of Shiki, and we all still need a bit of an explanation on how this timeline thing works with Ziggy, or worst case, Ziggy is just potentially just Ziggy and not Shiki for this version of events or whatever. But Ziggy begins to listen more to Mother as she says, what do you think the odds were that that child would survive? They were so slim, this can only be considered a miracle. There is one sole survivor from Earth, and he is right there in your arms. Would you like to stake the future of the cosmos on that boy? Ziggy asks her what she means, as she goes on to say, I mean, we trust everything to his decision. Ziggy asks why, as Mother begins to state that she has multiple powers. One is the power to revive the Earth and become the source of ether for all the cosmoses. I would not be able to do it immediately, but in a decade or so, I will have restored up enough energy. But the other choice is that she has the power to give the boy a universe in which he can walk a path full of happiness. But should she do that, her energy would eventually run out and ether would come to disappear from the cosmoses. So from what we're getting from, what we essentially got in Eden Zero up until this point was Mother creating a whole universe for Shiki to grow, be happy, go on adventures, and experience life so he can eventually come back to her and make this inevitable decision to save her or not. That is crazy. Ziggy ends up asking why make a baby decide this, as Mother says that it's mainly because he's Earth's sole survivor, and that she believes that it would be fair to give him the right to choose its future. Ziggy asks if she can't choose for herself, but she says that she's just a planet. She does not have the power to choose. This child will determine the future of the cosmoses, as Ziggy is then teleported away back onto the Eden Zero, as he's wondering what's going on and if it was just an illusion, as Mother was right in front of him. But as he thinks that everything was just some big illusion, he hears the baby Shiki crying as he goes over to him as he's just wailing and wailing, as he's like, what have I gotten myself into? A human baby. How am I supposed to raise one of those? And he begins to think about the dead bodies that he found being the shining stars, and wonders that one or two of those bodies were probably the kid's parents, and that he'll use the data that he recorded to build androids to take over as his mother, and that'll let the Eden's 1's AI handle the construction of his father, and that he'll start by making 4. So this goes on to show that Ziggy himself personally made the shining stars, but he let the Eden's 1 create the dark stars. So that is an interesting piece of information and showcases why we didn't see the dark stars initially through Ziggy's flashbacks and his interactions with the crew. So as we go on and time begins to fly, Ziggy says that something isn't working and that the problem seems to be memories as he's creating the shining star. As he just says, okay then. As in a huge 2-page spread, Ziggy says, I will call you the Demon King's 4 shining stars. As in this 2-page spread, we see Witch, Valkyrie, Sister, and Hermit all in test tubes as he essentially created the perfect androids and basically brought them to life. So this is the creation and birth of the shining star. Ziggy goes on to say that I've come up with a backstory for you too. You all lived together on Granbell, and you joined me on my quest to outer space to find Mother. But when we found Shiki, we decided to turn back. So this whole time, this big mystery on why the Shining Stars didn't have their memories of their journeys with Ziggy, right now it's revealed that Ziggy fabricated the entire backstory of the Shining Stars. He had created them, and they never went on an adventure. He found Mother without them. He went on this journey without them and brought back Shiki and created them after the fact. So everyone begins to wonder, why did he choose to lie to him like that? As Pino says, because actually he failed several times in attempting to build the shining star. And Pino says that Mother didn't show them these scenes just now, and that these were scenes recorded to Pino by Ziggy in the data that he left her, and that he had to give them memories even if they were false, or the 4 shining stars wouldn't function as they are right now. Now we all know they are basically alive with their own free will and memories after the fact. And that was the experiences they lived afterwards that made them who they are. But because of how they were being created, they needed memories to be based off of, to start to live. So that is an interesting way to go about it. Shiki is stunned by the fact as he looks over at the shining stars as they were born and says, so my parents died a long time ago. Shiki looks at Witch and says, but does this mean Witch is my mom? As he starts to tear up as the chapter ends. Oh boy, this was another really good chapter. Legitimately, I am tearing up at this moment right now as I am recording. So to summarize, Ziggy, in his quest to find Mother, ended up going back in time to the point where Mother was overdrived from the planet Earth. And the reason Ziggy came to this exact moment was because a chronophage ate 20,000 years of her time previously, thus reverting her shortly back to the time to right before she became Mother. This also says that the chronophages are incredibly more powerful than we initially thought, and there is a bit more mystery to what they can do, as Mother essentially created an entire universe most likely. Those things are even more powerful than initially thought, but also the fact that because Ziggy came and grabbed Shiki in that instance when Mother was being born, he didn't die. The likelihood of him surviving the overdrive of Earth was very slim to none, so it's very possible he still would have survived somehow and lived on to become Ziggy. Only now Ziggy seemingly changed things to an extent, where now he essentially brought Shiki to the present day, and now he himself is going to have to basically raise Shiki, and then he, not knowing what to do, decided to create the Shining Stars and eventually have the Eden's 1 make the Dark Stars based off of the people that he found dead when he went back to Earth. And I like the piece of information showcasing that he failed multiple times to essentially create the Shining Stars, and that they needed memories to essentially be based off of to give them purpose and to eventually grow to be the people that they are today. So creating and fabricating this whole backstory on how they came to be, and that they went on a journey with Ziggy and turned back with Shiki, was entirely fabricated and was meant to make them grow on their own and go their separate ways so that they could eventually come together with Shiki and come back to Mother. And that is very interesting. There's still something I need to understand about the whole Ziggy Shiki thing, but at this point it's basically like a chicken and the egg type of scenario where you're not sure which one really came first at this point. But yeah, this is very interesting stuff. And also the fact that Mother most likely created the entire cosmos that we've seen in Eden Zero thus far, so Shiki can grow, so he can get stronger, so he can experience life and all these different things, grow with his friends and the Shining Stars, to eventually come back and make the decision to save Mother and give everlasting life to the cosmos. But now all these subsequent possibilities and timelines will cease to exist and go back to essentially zero, or not save Mother and continue this giant universe that she created, but it'll eventually die out. This is very interesting, and I'm really loving where Mashima's been going with the story up until this point, and I cannot wait to see how things are going to resolve. This could be in a video in and of itself, but I want to wait till potentially a break week to make a video for Eden Zero on this possibility, and we might get more information with future chapters. But so far this flashback seems to be over. There might be more next week, but we just gotta wait and see. And I just love the fact that Shiki has come to terms with the fact that Witch is legitimately his mother, and again, teared up at that moment. But what did you guys think of this chapter? What did you feel about the flashback so far and everything going on with Ziggy? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I'm making on the channel, and shows you want to see more. I really want to continue this series up until the finale, as I've just been enjoying this so much, and I want to continue talking about it with you guys. But with all that said and done, I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you all have an awesome day.